Board of Elections is called to order. We will hold our regular meeting. Today's date, June 6th, at 4 p.m. at 345 Oak Hill Avenue, Youngstown, Ohio. Would the director call the roll, please?
Ms. Galpesta.
Present.
Attorney Beatrice.
Here.
Ms. Barger.
Here.
Mr. Orange.
Here. Would the vice chair lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a moment of silence for our nation and our world. Thank you. I'll now entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the May 23rd, 2023 adjourned special regular board meeting.
So moved.
There is, wait a minute. Hold on a second. There's a motion made by Vice Chair Sandra Barger. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Arndt. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'd ask the director call the roll, please.
Ms. Galpesta.
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice.
Yes.
Ms. Barger.
Yes.
Mr. Orange.
The chair will now entertain a motion to approve the bills of account and payments for April and May of 2023.
So moved.
There is a motion made by member Joyce Kalpesta. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Sandra Barger. Are there any questions or comments?
Towards the bottom where it says like election day staff, you just grouped everybody together?
That's correct.
Okay, instead of listing it, you have 9,000 pages.
Well, let's all, so we can all see what you're talking about.
Oh,
what
right,
you're
right,
talking
right.
about.
Because there's election day staff, Democratic poll
Where are
workers,
you?
Republican poll workers.
Do I have this thing?
Right here, Dave. That's probably, it's right there.
Well, hers is smaller.
Like right here. Yeah,
Okay.
they grouped everybody together.
Do you not like that? You want to?
No, it's fine. It's just batching differently than I think that we've seen before.
It is, it's different before you have names of the
Right,
pages and
pages, yeah, I don't need everybody's name, as
Right.
long as it's,
So this time we broke it down by type so you could know where the money was going and for what.
thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, would the director call the roll, please?
Ms. Galpesta.
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice.
Yes.
Ms. Barger.
Yes,
Mr. Orange.
Yes.
Okay, the chairman's report. We need to set a meeting date between June 20 through June 23, 2023 to open and review bids for ballot printing for the August 2023 special election and the November 2023 general election. So do we have any suggestions on a date? That leaves us 3 days, right?
Correct. Well, 4 days.
4 days.
20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd.
the 20th is a Tuesday and it's 2 weeks from today. Does that work for everybody?
I am free that day at 4 o'clock, I'm assuming, right?
That'd work.
Is that a good day for everyone? The chair will entertain a motion to set the meeting for June 20th, 2023 at 4 p.m.
So moved.
There's a motion made by Vice Chair Sandra Barger to set the meeting date for June 20th, 2023 to open and review bids for the ballot printing for the August 2023 special election and the November 2023 general election. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Arndt. Is there any comments or concerns or questions? Hearing none, would the director call the roll, please?
Ms. Galpesta.
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice.
Yes.
Ms. Barger.
Yes.
Mr. Orange.
Yes.
The next business on my chairman's report is to certify the validity and sufficiency of independent candidate petitions for the November 7th, 2023 general election. And my understanding is we have 2 different batches. We have a batch that were totally in compliance, and the first name on that batch is, well, I'll read them. Independent filings for general election for November 7th, 2023. The ones we found valid, I'm going to ask that we just en masse approve those. These would be petitions that were reviewed by our staff, that our staff found that they contained a sufficient number of signatures and that they were completed properly. Youngstown Clerk of Courts, Jeff Limbian, 1418 Cascade Drive, Youngstown, Ohio. Youngstown Clerk of Courts, Corinne Sanderson, 3605 Wyandotte Lane, Youngstown, Ohio. Youngstown Second Ward, Benjamin Brown, 1431 Holland Avenue, Youngstown, Ohio. Youngstown Fifth Ward, Richard Yaslick, 2626 Brunswick Road, Youngstown, Ohio. Youngstown Seventh Ward, Amber White, 2803 South Avenue, Youngstown, Ohio, 44502. Campbell Municipal Court, Mark Kolmasik, 470 Nicoa Drive, Campbell, Ohio, 44405. The Poland Village Mayor, Timothy Sycophus, 123 College Lane, Poland, Ohio, and Poland Village Council, James Wakaman, or Wakama, 101 Nesbitt Avenue, Poland, Ohio, 44514. Once again, as I said before, these petitions have been reviewed by our staff, they've been certified by our staff that they are legally sufficient, and therefore I would ask for a motion to accept all of these independent filings for the general election.
So moved.
There is a motion made by Joyce Kehl-Pesta. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There is a second by Vice Chair Sandra Barger. Is there any comments, concerns, or questions by the board members? Hearing none, would the director call the roll, please?
Ms. Calpesta,
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice,
Yes.
Ms. Barger,
Yes.
Mr. Orange.
Yes.
Then there is a second batch of independent filing for the general election for November 20th, 2023. These findings need to be voted on by the board. We'll start with the very first one, Youngstown First Ward, Jermaine Donlow, 939 Parkwood Avenue. Mr. Director.
Sure, Mr. Donlow turned in 59 signatures. We found 12 valid ones, 47 invalid, broken down by 25 not registered, 3 out of the district, did not live in the first ward, 1 deleted voter who will now be reactivated, 11 not registered at the address, 3 non-genuine, couldn't make, it was printed, or we couldn't make out, 1 with no date, 2 duplicates where they signed it twice, and 1 ineligible.
All right, so may I ask a question on this one? How many signatures in fact does a person
I'm
need?
sorry, 25 for city council,
For city council, and how many valid did he have?
12.
12. So it's not even close. is what
It is not.
All right. And you're saying that there were 47 invalid signatures, correct?
And we provided, Joyce suggested last time that we provide a breakdown of what the categories are, and we did that on the front of each folder.
All right, I have in fact reviewed that. Have you reviewed this?
No, but I trust the board.
Do you want to, would you like to review it?
No.
Do you need to review
No,
that?
I'm good.
Mr. Arndt, do you need to review
No.
this?
Yes.
Would the chair will now entertain a motion to not certify Jermaine Donlow to the ballot. Is there a motion?
So moved.
There is a motion made by Sandra Barger. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Mr. Arndt. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns by the board members? I just have one. It's really a low bar to get on the ballot.
It is.
I mean, the bar is low. I mean, if you can't get over this bar, we don't have a choice. I like that a lot of people like to run. I think that's good for the public, but you've got to fill out these petitions properly. And if you don't, you can't get on the ballot. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, would the director call the roll, please?
Ms. Pesta,
Yes.
Attorney Dave Beatrice.
Yes.
Ms. Barger,
Yes.
Mr. Arndt.
Yes.
We will now move to Youngstown First Ward, Million Perry Pfeiffer, am I saying that name
I
correctly?
believe so.
All right, at 2109 Hubbard Road. Would the director please elucidate us?
Sure. Million Perry Pfeiffer turned in 51 signatures, we found 26 ballots, so that's good. What he didn't do, and it's a judgment call on the board, he did not put his street number on where he lives at. So he lives on Hubbard Road in the second ward, but there's no street address. And it's something in the past that prior years back, it would be invalidated, but recently it's been something that the board has been given a little leeway on. Everything else is correct on that.
But his address is listed nowhere else on the petition except that.
No, and there's two areas he could have put the address,
Right.
and he didn't. He does live on Hubbard Road, but he didn't put the street address on Hubbard Road.
Is that a fatal flaw, Mr. Director?
We believe it's an area where the board has some leeway on that.
So it's not a fatal flaw?
No, not anymore.
Okay, when you say not anymore, based on what do you say not?
It used to be there was court cases where boards have accepted that in the past, and there's been cases where the board hasn't, and the courts have ruled both ways that the board has not abused their discretion on that.
Okay. Do you want to review this?
So there's no precise ruling on living
There isn't. We looked through-
2109 off this Hubbard Road.
We've got 3513 and 3501, and we looked at the court cases, there's really no defined answer.
But he is registered at 2109.
Correct. Hubbard Road.
I think we should validate it.
You know you're done, Bob.
Look at that address.
Just speaking for myself, not speaking on behalf of the board, I think that suffrage is something that should be left in a democratic system to the voters. Therefore, I think that that is a technical violation that should not keep him off the ballot. Would be my position, that we certify Million Perry Pfeiffer to the ballot. That would be my position. I just feel that we should encourage more people to participate, not less. We should, not say, oh, because you didn't put an address there, but even though we have his address here, and we know he's the only person that lives at that address, and that is in fact his address, that would be, at least in my position, just over technical to not allow him to have the ability to run. I'm assuming Million Perry Pepper is a male. I'm just assuming that.
He is.
Okay, thank you.
I make a motion, we certify Mr. Perry Pfeiffer.
There's a motion made by Joyce Kilpesta to certify Mr. Pfeiffer to the board. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion made by Joyce Kilpesta and a second made by Sandra Barger. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'd ask the director call the roll, please.
Ms. Pesta,
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice,
Yes.
Ms. Barger,
Yes.
Mr. Arndt.
Yes.
All right, Youngstown, 4th Ward, Christine Lewis, 36 North Glen Allen Avenue, Youngstown, Ohio. What say our staff on this one?
Turned in 26 valid signatures, but failed to sign for petitions.
I was gonna say, that's fatal, isn't it?
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Do you wanna look at it, Joyce?
No.
She signed as the circulator, but forgot to sign as the candidate. And that's a fatal flaw?
That's one the courts have been consistent on, and the directives.
All right, Chair will entertain a motion to not certify Christine Lewis to the board, to the ballot because she did not sign her petitions. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion made by Sandra, Vice Chair Sandra Barger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Joyce Kilpesta. Is there any questions or concerns? I just have a comment. I don't know of any legal document that you file anywhere in any government agency where they don't require a signature. That is the most basic requirement of anything. And I'm a lawyer, I can tell you, you file anything with a governmental entity, you have to sign it. And you have to sign it under certain, you're just making certain representations there. So I have no problem voting not to certify her. Is there any other comments or concerns?
No.
None? Would the director call the roll, please?
Ms. Gelpesta?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
Ms. Barger?
Yes.
Mr. Arch?
Yes.
Youngstown Fifth Ward, Lindsay Bonnet, 2621 Austin Avenue, Youngstown, Ohio.
Turned in 46 signatures, 34 valid. What Lindsay Bonnet did not do is, she's running for Fifth Ward Council. On both faces of the petition, she had a chance twice to put Fifth Ward. All she put was the office of City Council. Did not put a ward in.
What's the directives and the law say on that, do we know?
The office has to be stated, and that's where it ends at. The signers of the petition have to know what the petition.
What they're signing, right.
And even though she ran for city council, there is no at-large, and there's 7 wards in Youngstown. That's a.
Fatal flaw. Basically.
Yeah, I see it there. I see it there.
Yep.
Mr. Arthur, can you see this?
If one of their petitions turned in,
Yeah, I was gonna say she had 34 valid signatures, so.
Right. she did a nice job getting signatures in, but was it Fifth Ward?
Yeah.
Or- I don't know, the discussion is that the board uses discretion either way, Joyce, but in the past we haven't validated this.
Well, we've never validated that because that is a prerequisite that you have to put in the ward.
Or what you're running for.
What you're running for.
You can't just say countywide office.
Or county council, city council.
You can't say county, if you're running for the clerk of courts, you can't say, I'm running for a spot on for a county.
Yeah.
County commissioner, county auditor, county recorder, so. All right, is there a motion to invalidate the petitions of Lindsay Bonnet? Or Bonet, I don't know how.
So moved.
There's a motion made by Joyce Kilpesta, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Sandra Barger, is there any comments or concerns or questions? Hearing none, would the director call the roll, please?
Ms. Gelpesta?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
Ms. Barger?
Yes.
Mr. Arch?
Yes.
Okay, and now lastly, Youngstown Sixth Ward, Cheryl Finley.
Sheriff Finley turned in 54 signatures. We found 22 valid and 32 invalid ones. And we broke it down for you. 13 not registered, 2 out of the district, 7 not registered at that address, 6 non-genuine, they're printed, 2 with no dates, and then the first 2 signatures, so those are valid, and then 2 illegible that we cannot make out the address or the.
Did you want to see this?
So she needed 25 and she got 22.
22.
All right, the ones where it's printed, where are those?
There's two-part petitions, and they're going to be marked NG on those petitions.
Is this Pam, the one on G? And Marcus, Pam and Marcus Magby?
And
Are
the
these the
staff
printed
thought-
one?
That's two of them, but the staff also thought the same person signed that, or printed that.
So,
There's 6 other ones on it besides.
yeah, I see this. Eric Beely?
Eric Beal, Erica Beal.
Yeah, and Jesse Sprogling?
Is anyone that does the directing on the petition?
Those people do. They have the right address, if they print it, and they have it signature on file.
Oh, okay.
The printed ones? Oh, I don't know.
Here we go again, is right. The problem is, they're not even teaching cursive writing in school anymore. Okay, so how do you expect a voter to sign their name when they're not even teaching cursive writing anymore? That's number one.
Anyone over 18 is on cursive writing.
Well, first of all, we don't know that. And
Well,
secondly,
how do they sign their, the voter registration card has a signature on it, and that's what we're comparing it to.
and do we compare those? And because, the only reason why I'm saying that is, don't forget, last election, we disenfranchised 4 voters, and it turned out that that was in fact their signature.
That's correct.
I hate the fact that the legislature has put onto the board, we are not handwriting experts, our staffs are not handwriting experts. There is no recognized expertise of handwriting analysis. I just hate the fact that we are disqualifying someone because someone printed their name. Now, these two do look like the same person signed them, I mean, I will say that.
Yeah, I think the staff and myself, we viewed these 3 or 4 times, and we have no doubt that's the same person.
That invalidates this whole petition.
Well, the board has an option there. They can-
What's this, you couldn't read this name here, it says NR?
Not registered.
Not registered.
Oh, not registered.
What were you saying, Tom?
We do have some supporting documentation in that file where I believe the one is Erica Beal, where she filled out an absentee application in the same printed form as what's on that petition. But we thought the board should be aware of that because we're supposed to check signatures. But, you know, every board saying this precedent of allowing people to come back in with affidavits. So I believe we have 3 cases here, and we have documentation where we have that person's printed signature on our document that matches that petition.
Well, that would still be one short, it would still be a couple short,
22,
be 23.
I believe there's 3 in there.
Oh, so that would be 26.
Okay, well, I think we should review that. So, can you identify the 3 that, and what you're saying is on an absentee application, they printed and didn't sign, and that matches? Is that my understanding?
Yeah.
But it matches what they put on their
Yeah, and
petition.
actually, what we have, I believe, we also have on the registration card where they printed then signed, and the printed signature on the registration card matches the signature on, but the signature doesn't match. You know,
Well, because some people print their name as their signature. A lot more people are doing that now.
Older people's petition.
the first one's Erica Beal, line 13, and this is her application, her printed name, line 13 compared to that.
There it is.
That looks like
We thought it was a match.
it looks like a match to me.
We weren't sure if we had the authority to say it was.
Well, we have to start from a certain premise. The premise that we encourage, and we'll do everything we can to make sure people make the ballot, or we want to be more restrictive. My personal opinion is, the more people that participate in the democratic process, the better it is for this community. That's just my personal opinion. I'm wrong about that, but this certainly looks to be, to me, I mean, here she is,
The problem I have with this petition is someone signs both names.
no, Erica Beal
No,
right
this
here.
right here.
Well, but this would give, this would give, how many short would she be with this one?
2.
2.
But Joyce is talking about the 2 signatures that appear to be signed by the same person. But what we've done over the last few years, 15, 20 years, is that we've thrown out those 2 signatures on the petition.
Right.
Because they both live at the same address. So the assumption is the husband signed for the wife, or the wife signed for the husband.
So it counts as one signature.
Or no
neither,
signature.
or
because I
neither.
signed for it.
Okay,
Right, but the board does not have to throw out that whole part of the
okay.
petition. We used to.
Yeah, we used to.
Now I think we look at precedent, we look if there's 4 or 5 different ones at different addresses that
Right.
appear the same, we throw the petition out.
So, is there another
Is there
one with,
another one besides this one?
We have one, her name's Irma Rodriguez, it's gonna be line 25. She did sign Irma L.R.
That's
It
a
is
different-
her, well, she didn't spell it Rodriguez, but she put Irma L, and we know that's identical signature, but it's not a full signature.
that looks,
Oh, it's her.
Looks like she ran out of room.
And
Yeah.
so then wasn't that director that it was the notion that if we could prove it was the voter, was,
Right, that recent court case was.
well, there's almost other premises, but whether or not that's the
That's
actual
what kind of
person.
looks like.
and she is registered to vote at 3-1. Well, you now see, if you look here, her residence is 3133, and she put here 3313. On this, the address is 3133,
31, 30.
Absolutely.
and here it's 3313.
Oh, she inverted the
She inverted
numbers.
the numbers.
What's the position on that?
The board allowed that last certification. We actually allowed it for a candidate a few years ago, and inverted number. It's the second one.
There's no doubt in my mind that's her signature, it just looks like she ran out of room, that's all. I don't know what you think.
Well, if we go back to, can I go back to
Yeah.
Erica Beal? She, on the absentee ballot, she put 249 Lowell Avenue, or Lowell Avenue. But on the petition, she had 443 West Judson.
We have,
She changed her address after she signed the petition, but before the petitions were filed.
Okay.
that's,
So that one's, yeah. And this one, she
line
just,
25.
I think it's 24 so far.
Okay.
there's no less, she didn't sign her name, finish signing it, right? There's no, there's nothing there.
I mean, she put the R, it looks like she ran out of room. Any others?
There's one more.
So if we made this one
The two, though, it was 24.
the 24, if we find one other valid one, she'd make it, right?
That's correct. And I think we have a Luther Folks as the final one for our petition. Line 14. And that came off a absentee application. The name we feel matched the name on the petition.
I mean, and-
That looks good to me, it looks like his writing. Once again, I'm no handwriting expert, but from my untrained eye, it looks like he signed it.
I I'd say it looks like a signature.
Yeah, me too.
The only other one, the last one we did, the Rodriguez, I said that's not.
But these two would,
We're at 24, you need all three to put in 25.
wait a minute, let me see the outside of the envelope.
We're at 22.
She's at 24 now. So the one we have to vote on then, if I hear the board correctly, is this one where the person did not put their last name, is that my understanding? Right?
Right.
Where is that part petition? Is that in here?
I think
That's in there,
that
David.
should be in there.
Irma Rodriguez? Where's that part petition? Oh, it's probably in this other one.
There, on this one.
Is there a motion? We have to either say this, do you want to vote on this Irma Rodriguez? And then that would be determinative of it, right?
Right.
You have to vote on all three.
Well, if we vote this one out, it doesn't matter. Because I think the
Well, unless
consensus.
you get it to 24, if that's the actual number of valid signatures, you'd still want that number on there if that's what you believed. I mean, to 20, the other two, you
So
should
the other
vote on
two
all
were
three.
24.
You should vote on all three so the signatures are whatever they are.
Yeah, but
And then there's one left for any kind of,
Sure, and then the can has a chance to get affidavits come in and have another hearing.
yeah,
yes, so,
We love those.
So the one for, make a motion to accept Luther Folks.
all right, there's a motion to accept Luther Folks. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion besides what we already kind of discussed? Hearing none, would the director call the roll on whether or not Luther Folks in fact signed the petitions for Cheryl Finley? Would the director call the roll?
Ms. Calpesta?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
Ms. Barger?
Yes.
Mr. Orange?
Yes.
All right, now the other one where we didn't have a question, which was what?
Erica
Your
Beal?
view.
Oh, yeah.
But she printed the absentee.
Yeah. So could we have a motion on Erica Beal, please?
I make a motion we accept Erica Beal certified.
There's a motion made by Joyce Calpesta to accept the signature of Erica Beal. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Mr. Arndt. Is there any questions or concerns? Hearing none, would the director call the roll?
Ms. Calpesta?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
Ms. Barger?
Yes.
Mr. Orange?
Yes.
And the last one is Irma, I think it's I. Rodriguez. Is there a motion on that one?
well, it stands that it stays whatever we determined it.
What is the law concerning full signatures?
Well, like you said, she ran out of room there.
Yeah, it looks like, but
No, to me, it looks like she stopped.
But we can also determine that's Irma I. Rodriguez
or
too.
Romeo or.
It's the same signature, it's just Dr. Rodriguez.
Right.
Address is correct.
Well, she inverted one number.
That's right, that's the 3113 or 3133.
Yeah, 3133, and she wrote 3313, but it certainly looks like Irma in the eyes almost identical. And that's her signature. I mean, and so we would be saying, oh, well, you didn't write out your full last name, even though that's definitely Irma and I and R. And it just looks like she ran out of room. So what's the board's position on this? We can either make a motion to accept it or make a motion to deny it, but we need a motion.
Would at least have to make
Well, let's get a motion on the floor and then we can discuss it. Someone wants to make a motion, we either accept it or we reject it.
make a motion that we reject Irma Rodriguez for not completing her name on the petition.
There's a motion made by Sandra Barger that we not accept the signature of Irma I. Rodriguez. Is there a second?
Yes, second.
Seconded by Joyce Keel Pesta. Okay, now, Mr. Arndt, we can have discussion.
Well, I'm just saying that you have to make some kind of an attempt.
Yeah, well, she did, she wrote R. I mean, there's no way she was gonna get Rodriguez on there, so.
Not an attempt on my.
I mean, that, you can have that position, I'm not judging you one way or another. Any other comments or concerns? So a yes vote would be to disqualify it, a no vote would be to qualify, is that my understanding?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, would the director call the roll, please?
Ms. Calpesta,
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice,
No.
Ms. Barger,
Yes.
Mr. Arch.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes 3-1 that Irma I. Rodriguez's signature on the petition not be accepted, and therefore Cheryl Finley is one signature short. Do I have that correctly?
That's correct.
All right. We will now go with the directors.
So do we have to make a motion to?
We've already done it.
No, we did the signature, so I
Okay.
think we have to make a motion.
You're right.
To,
Yeah, is there a motion now not to certify Cheryl Finley to the ballot?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, hold on a second. There is time for public comment, and we'll get to you when it's there, okay? So a yes vote would be to keep her off, a no vote would be to put her on. Is that my understanding?
Correct.
Okay, would the director call the roll, please?
Yes.
Ms.
Keep her off.
Calpesta,
To keep her off, yes.
Attorney Beatrice.
No.
Ms. Barger,
Yes.
Mr. Arch.
Yes.
All right, the motion carries 3-1, so Cheryl Finley is not certified to the ballot. Now we can go with the director's report.
Yeah, it should be said, David, and maybe you can explain that, that these candidates that were disqualified, they do have an appeal process. They can come back to us and ask for reconsideration,
Okay.
if they so wish.
Well, you're the director, so I'm asking you for your report, and your report is, go ahead. I don't have to inform them, you can inform them.
I think any candidate, whether it be Jermaine Dunlow, William Perry Pfeiffer, Christine Lewis, Lindsey Barnett, or Sheriff Finley, does have the right to ask for reconsideration from this board. In the past, when candidates have been short signatures, they have brought affidavits to us from those ones that were non-genuine. So the candidates, although they were disqualified, they do have an appeal process with us.
Okay. Anything else on the director's report?
I do not.
Anything by the assistant director?
Nope, we're just getting ready for the next election, and we're busy, busy, busy.
All right. Any unfinished business?
Is this for?
Nope, next.
Nothing on unfinished business. Anything under item 9, new business? It says we need to approve the schedule of classes and instruction for precinct election officials for the August 8th, 2023 general election.
And you should have that there in front of you.
So,
On July 5th, we added an in-service for the staff. They're gonna sit through all the poll worker classes so that they know what the poll workers are told. They're gonna spend the morning doing that for you guys.
so do you need
So you
a,
picked the day after 4th of July to do
It
that.
was either that or the
That
day
nice of
before
you.
the 4th of July.
so is this something that needs to be approved by us? I mean, you guys are the director and assistant director. I mean, you could.
It's in statute.
Oh, it's in the
Yeah,
statute.
you have to
All right,
do it.
well, I stand corrected then. Seems to me if we hire a director and assistant director, we shouldn't have to vote on every decision they make. But I guess the training is one we have to actually approve. So is there a motion to approve the schedule of classes and instructions for precinct officials for the August 8th, 2023 general election that was given to us with a purple banner on top? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Some, motion made by Vice Chair Sandra Barger. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Bob Arndt. Is there any questions or concerns? I didn't know we had to actually approve skid. It's like every other decision you guys make, we don't have to ratify, but this one, I guess we have to ratify. All right. Would the director call the roll, please?
Ms. Gacasta?
Yes.
Attorney Peters?
Yes.
Ms. Barger?
Yes.
Ms. Orange?
Yes.
All right. Now we could go to the good of the order and public comments. The only thing we ask is that you state your name, and there's a 3-minute time limit. Other than that, the floor is yours. Does anyone like to speak for the good of the order? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Cheryl Finley, and I wanted to ask if I could, bring in Ms. Rodriguez to, verify her signature or correct her signature.
Usually we don't go back and forth. This is just your comments, but if you listen to the director, he said that that is available to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let the record reflect that was Cheryl Finley, and where do you live?
418 West Jetson.
Okay, 418 West Jetson, and she asked the question, could she bring in Irma I. Rodriguez to say that is in fact her signature, and would we reconsider it? And you can meet with the staff, and they'll instruct you on what needs to be done.
Okay.
Maybe right after, if
Yeah.
you'd like to, I can.
Yes, sir, thank you.
All right, is there anything else for the good of the order or public comments? Yes, sir, could you stand up?
Yes.
State your name.
Richard Goslick, 26 Brunswick, Youngstown. Just asking the board for some clarification as far as the signature requirement for an independent candidate. Forgive me if it was an oversight on my part. Looking at the candidate's handbook, I couldn't find the 25 signature guideline. I thought I viewed 50 for an independent candidate and then 25 for a party candidate. Can anybody clarify? I know I submitted enough, but looking through the handbook, I just didn't see that.
I'll get a requirement done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is it in there?
Yes, it's-
I apologize, I may have.
All right, anything else for the good of the order or public comments? Yes.
Kathy Gage, League of Women Voters of Greater Youngstown. First is the question, if you see patterns over time where candidates don't really understand the petition, or they overlook things, whatever. If somebody's new and they're a candidate, do you ever give them like a helpful tip sheet?
We do
You
give them,
sign in both places if it's a, fourth ward thing where,
We have a whole booklet, plus a sheet, plus a top 10.
okay, top 10.
I've been here 25 years, you've been here 30.
well, she was a bus girl at the last supper, but go ahead.
I really am Mary Magdalene.
Big historical role there.
Yeah, this is a current pattern every year where candidates, and most of the times, they don't take their time. They take petitions out last minute,
Sure.
they rush, you can tell it's rushed. Because you have plenty of time, you can start filing them out for next year if you like.
Mhm.
And so most of it's just simple mistakes. But there is a guide, we refined it over the years, added to it, and I'm not sure how much more we can do at this point.
Okay.
Seems like no matter what you do.
I mean, like, for instance, signing the petition, like I said.
Well, I remember you said, well, there's 2 places on there to sign it, and there's to sign the petition and then sign something else, and,
So
You know-
the candidate has to sign the petition.
right, mm-hmm,
Okay, that's the formal declaration.
mm-hmm,
I don't know of any government institution.
right.
When you're asking to be something or do something where you do not, like every pleading I sign in court, I have to sign it. I have to sign the pleading.
Sure.
So most government agencies, not just the Board of Elections, but any government agency, I don't know of anyone that can ask for something and not sign their
Oh,
name.
of course,
Yeah.
of course, it's just, it's,
Actually clear on the petition too. They have to sign it before they circulate. They really are not allowed to gather signatures unless they sign that petition to circulate. So that was the fatal flaw, no matter what.
Can I get a second thing?
yes, the schedule for training for poll workers, could I have a copy of
Yeah.
that? There are some people in our organization that I think might be interested, that they want to know like when it's going to be. So thank you very much, appreciate it. That's it, thank you.
Mr. Director?
In answer to that last question, it's from the candidate's guide, page 10. It's under ward council representative. If the number of votes cast in a ward in the last general election for governor was fewer than 5,000 votes, and all 7 wards were under 5,000 votes, the number of required signatures is 25, or a number equal to 5% of the vote, whichever is less. And that's 3513257. You can have a copy of that.
Thank you for the clarification.
Anything else for the good of the order or public comments? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Greg Dominic. A couple quick questions. When we talked about some of the comments you've made, Attorney Beatrice, about getting more people involved to run for for public office, is it within the board's capacity to be able to go ahead and call the person if they're missing something? Are they allowed to do that, or is
It's not
it
our
state?
job to call them, it's our job to review what they have submitted. Okay?
I'm not
That's
asking-
what we're doing, because if we start calling people, then someone's gonna say, well, you called me, you called that person, you didn't call me. Our job is to review petitions as they are submitted, to make sure they are legally sufficient. That's our job, that's what we're instructed to do.
And there's also a directive from the Secretary of State forbidding us from doing that at this point.
No preaching.
Right, because we used to do that. And then the latest directives have come out and they forbid the board from pre-checking any petitions.
Okay.
So notifying any
Once it's
candidate.
it's turned in, and then we review it.
I gotcha. I wasn't sure on how that worked. My next quick question, I'm being assumptive that the board's goal is to make sure that we have fair and accurate elections. And I'm sure that it's also a goal that the board wants the people to believe that there's fair and accurate elections. And my question to you, if you'd be able to answer me, is do you think that the general public believes that there is fair and accurate elections in today's day and age?
So, as I've said before, this usually is not a forum where we have a back and forth.
Oh,
You're allowed to make statements. I am simply one of 4. I am the chairman. That carries no more weight than the vice chairman or the 2 members. And so, we, as a board, have made a decision that we strive the utmost to make sure that every person that can legally vote votes, and everyone that legally votes, that vote is counted. That is our charge, and that's what we strive to do in all walks of everything, is to make sure that our elections are fair and accurate.
so if there was an indication that the general public don't believe that that's actually the case, and there was a way for the board to put some systems in place to prove it to the general public that it was, would the board be open to hearing some ideas on that?
The board is always open as to how we can make our systems better. We are always welcome. Any comments or suggestions? You have a minute 6 left. This is the time for the public to express any comments or concerns or suggestions they may have. So if you have some now, the floor is yours.
Well, I wanted to see if you might be able to, the gist of it is to have more of a just-in-time audit with people counting the ballots along with using the machines that are already in place.
Okay.
I
So-
think that would help validate the general public's belief in the overall system. And there's actually systems available to put in place with costs denoted with what that would be for our county. And that would take more time to discuss in detail with you. But that's the gist, is to have people involved, both Democrats and Republicans, counting them. So we make sure that we put the public at ease, that they don't think all the machines are being manipulated. You might not believe that, but there are those who do. So why not prove it to them? I mean, if we believe that they're fair and accurate as much as Ohio tells us, then let's prove it. There's nothing to lose and everything to gain if we do
The
that.
3 minutes is up, sir. Thank you. All right, is there anything else for the good of the comment or public? Yes, would you stand up, even though we all know you, and identify yourself for the record?
Mike Gray, I just want to point out what the director said about there's still due process afforded to everyone here, right? Whether the ruling of the board, they still have a right to challenge any of those decisions, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Ultimately, too, folks tend to question, or have doubt. I don't think a lot of people in the general public realize that the folks up there are half Democrat, half Republican. Everything is done with both parties. All actions that you do, correct? I've been here for recounts. There's a Democrat and Republican next to each other. And I think that sometimes that's something people just, no one realizes that systems like that. So there are some checks and balances, and everything you do is bound by the state, correct? And you're mandated. It's not like you guys have a lot of discretion in a lot of scenarios.
Well, we do have some discretion, but primarily we follow the Ohio law and the directives by the Secretary of State. And we all took an oath of office to obey the laws of Ohio, the directives of the Secretary of State, the Constitution of Ohio, and the Constitution of the United States. Those are our North Stars, and that's what we're obligated to do. I believe that's what we do.
That's just my observations. Thank you.
Thanks.
We try to be as transparent as possible. It is my personal belief, I'm not speaking for the board, that the more sunshine you pour on something, the more honest government you get. All of our meetings are online, and you could see every one of them. We have cameras throughout the building that are monitored. Our safe is locked, so we have many systems employed to ensure it. To someone that said, why don't we hand count it, because we're not in the 1800s and we actually have machines that do it, but to just put you at ease, we pick randomly so many precincts and we hand count those precincts and compare them to the machine count, and it's never, in the 10 years I've been on the board, it's never been off. So the hand recount and
What percent?
Pardon me?
What percent of the precincts do you hand count?
What, how many? 5%. And they're randomly chosen. They bring in a big vat, and we just reach in and pull out each of us pull out a precinct, and they go and they hand count it, and people are free to come watch them hand count the ballot and compare it to the machine count.
Is the public able to initiate through the partnership of the board to do more of a thorough count?
No,
Can we
that
do
would be
more
done
like
by
a
the
15 or
state, that would
20%?
be,
That's a requirement.
that's a requirement of state law. You'd have to go to the state legislature to change that. We follow whatever the state legislature tells us, and that's the procedure that they've laid out. And the Secretary of State has laid out. Okay. Any other comments for the good of the order of public comments?
We got one right here.
Yes, sir. State.
Dave Scriback, 8100 Meadowood Drive, Canfield. There has been, at times, some lack of transparency, especially when it comes to response to Freedom of Information Act.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, there's been either a delayed response or no response at times, and I think that doesn't show well when it comes to transparency.
Well, we by law have to release any public record that we are allowed to release. We have to do it in a reasonably timely fashion. If we don't respond to a public records request in a timely fashion, you could sue the board and we would pay your attorney fees if you won. But I'm not aware of any delays, unreasonable delays in getting information that's been requested as the director or
Yeah,
assistant.
we had one work with the sheriff's department getting some video camera footage, and then there was a discrepancy of what was allowed to be released and what isn't allowed to be released. And we worked with the prosecutor's office on that.
Right. So we have attorneys representing us. What we're allowed to release, we release. What we're not allowed to release, we don't release. And if you feel we made an error in that judgment, that's why courts are there to correct us. And courts have corrected us in the past. I know because that's happened to me. All right. Yes, sir.
Frank Pease, 5308 Southern Boulevard. When a request is put in and it's not fulfilled, shouldn't that request and the reasons for not fulfilling be given in writing?
My understanding of
the legal reasons behind it.
My understanding of the public records request
Yes.
is if you make a request, we have a reasonable period of time to respond to that request, and if we don't respond to that request, that we could be sued and held responsible for
Well,
that.
nobody really wants to sue. We're not really wanting to do that.
Well, I can't once again, the purpose of the public section is for you to make a comment.
Sure.
I heard your comment, I will address it with the director and assistant
Okay.
director.
Can I make one more comment?
You have 2.5 more, or 1 more minute. Go
All
ahead.
right, this is quick. I made some real good recommendations on the records request. I think, Melissa, you saw those. Love to see if you guys would consider that.
You should run for a board seat.
Can I say something?
I know.
It might be the volume of what you requested. too.
What's that?
It might be the volume of what you requested. You requested a lot of documents, a lot of, that takes time for us to accumulate.
No, I understand.
So
I
it
get
could be that reason. We also have a policy for our requests
Sure.
posted out front. It's so many days that we have to get you the information
Right,
requested.
right.
But volume does, we've had state cases where the volume has been horrendous and we've had to, it's taken us like 2 months to get all of
Sure.
the equipment, to get all of the stuff together.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from the public for the good of the order, or public comments? Hearing none, let me just say this. We strive, each one of us, to make sure, and the whole idea is you have 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, but when we operate as a board, we try to be as non-party affiliated as possible, and we try to do what's in the best interest of people's suffrage. We are the guardians of the most sacred thing that anyone in this community has, and that's their voice. And they express their voice through their vote. So I know I speak for my behalf and all of the board members and the director and assistant director that we take that job very seriously, very earnestly, and we try to do the best we can. We do everything we can to make sure that the public has complete access to these meetings, and the public can watch it on our YouTube channel, right? It's on YouTube, my understanding? YouTube,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And all of our meetings are filmed. You could see them there. We have cameras watching us, so we try to do things as much in the open as is humanly possible. We do have rules we have to follow, and if you want to be an observer, there are certain rules you have to follow to be an observer. I don't discourage anyone from getting involved in the process. As a matter of fact, I encourage it. I think it's better for our community. The more people that are actively involved in the democratic process, the better for our democracy. That is my just personal opinion, and that's how I try to operate, and that's my understanding of what's the basis of every decision I make. Is there anything else for the good?
Well, I want to thank everybody that came and actually spoke and made comments.
Yes.
Because the more we hear, the better for us too.
Right, absolutely. I would echo the vice chair's comments. I do not have any problem with people coming to our meetings and making comments. That's what the First Amendment's all about. Okay, anything else? All right, the next regularly scheduled meeting for the Mahoney County Board of Elections, what? Nothing? The next regularly scheduled meeting for the Mahoney County Board of Elections is set for Tuesday, July 11th, 2023 at 4 p.m. at the Mahoney County Board of Elections office, 345 Oak Hill Avenue in Youngstown, Ohio. The chair will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
There's a motion made by Joyce Kehl-Pesta. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second. I don't want to sit here all night. There's a
Well, I'm trying to
second.
make David wait.
There's a second by Vice Chair Sandra Barger. Would the director call the roll, please?
Ms. Calpesta, Attorney Petras.
Yes.
Ms. Barger.
Yes.
Mr. Art.
This meeting is now adjourned.